Zoning Commission for Tuesday, November 8th, 2016.
Be a crazy one.
We take the conversations outside. We need to get the meeting underway. We need to have order. Thank you. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, boy.
Can I have roll call for quorum?
Commissioner Bellata. Commissioner Oxley.
Yes.
Commissioner Wolf. Here. Commissioner Maloney.
Here.
Commissioner Porfilio.
Here.
Commissioner Likens.
Here.
Commissioner Thies.
Okay, thank you. We do have a quorum. First up is approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from October 11th.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion from Porfilio, second from Moxley to approve the minutes. Any questions or discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The purpose of this board is to review all zoning and development plans requesting for compliance with the city's of Lockport's comprehensive plan, the city's zoning ordinance, and certain components of the city's development code. This board also reviews and makes final determination of variance requests from the city's zoning ordinance. Pam, what's up first? Grady?
Yes. Yes, the first item is 509 South Street. It's a variance to increase the allowable size of a detached garage for a multifamily residence consisting of 2 units. The applicant is the owner of the 2-family dwelling located at 509 South Street. Mr. Grady is requesting a variance from the zoning ordinance, section 156.033C1G, which states for multifamily residences, a detached garage shall not exceed 440 square feet per unit. Based on this provision, Mr. Grady would be allowed a detached garage of 880 square feet. He is requesting a variance so that he can construct a detached garage having 990 square feet, which is 22 by 45. The proposed garage would be 13% larger than what is permitted by code. The garage would be located in the southeast corner of the lot in the rear yard. There are mature trees that would need to be removed in order to accommodate any new larger garage, whether the larger one proposed this evening or the one that complies with code. There is an existing 440 square foot 2-car garage on the property. When staff conducted a site visit on 11/1, there were 3 mid-sized cars parked outside the garage on the property along the west property line. This morning, development engineering consultant Steve Gidley and I also took another ride out to the site because since this is a public hearing, the resident living at 511 South Street who couldn't be in attendance at tonight's meeting had come to express, or had a question. He's in favor of the garage, but he is concerned with water runoff. So Steve and I went out to the site. We drove around, we looked at the property. We didn't go onto the property, but we looked at the property from the road. We drove around all sides of the block, and there we noted that there are several low spots in that neighborhood. There is no storm sewer, so what we would probably need to see whether the applicant builds the garage that complies with code or the larger garage if approved through the variance process, we'd probably need to see a grading plan just to make sure that there wouldn't be any grading issues which would cause flooding onto neighboring properties or to the rear of the current property. The neighboring properties on either side of this subject parcel also have detached garages. To the west, the city recently approved a replacement garage having 660 square feet, and to the east, an existing garage approved in 1960 as a 16.2 times 22.1 feet, but according to the only plat on file from a 1995 fence permit application, the garage actually included an expansion for which no permit was on file. Staff also toured the immediate neighborhood, and the majority of the detached garages are either 1-car or 2-car. As part of the application, the applicant provided me with 8 other neighborhood addresses in which he believes that the garages were larger than what code permits. So staff researched each of the address and found out the following. At 433 16th Street, the garage size is 1,008 square feet. This was permitted in 1999. At 1499 East Street, the garage size is 720 square feet, which was permitted in 1988. At 581 Division Street, a garage size of 672 square feet was permitted in 1990. 1609 Marianne, a garage size of 676 square feet, permitted in 1988. At 1111 Madison Street, there was a garage size of 952, which was permitted in 2001. A variance was approved for the size and location. 516 12th Street, a garage size of 936 square feet, permitted in 1987. 1114 Madison, a garage size of 575 square feet, which meets code. And 452 Division Street, which is not located in the city limits. The zoning ordinance was approved in 1990. Best I could see is that detached garages does not appear to have been amended since the original adoption of the code. Staff has no explanation why larger garages were approved for 433 16th Street or 581 Division Street, but staff would like to note that the garages at the above locations, except for 1111 Madison Street, could not be replaced at their current size unless a variance was requested and approved. In review of a variance, there are 7 findings of facts or hardship standards that must be addressed. The first one is that the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations of the district in which it is located. The property could yield a reasonable return if a detached garage meeting code is constructed. Due to the existing use of the residential structure as a 2-family, the applicant has already permitted a garage larger, 880 square feet, than if the property were used for single-family purposes only, in which a maximum size of 660 would be allowed. Letter B is that the proposed variance will not merely serve as a convenience to the applicant, but will alleviate some demonstrable and unusual hardship that will result if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out, which are not generally applicable to property within the same district. Staff finds no demonstrable or unusual hardship has been identified by the applicant should he have to comply with the regulations. The property, again, as stated above, is already larger due to the use of it as a 2-family dwelling unit, and the same regulations would apply to all residential zoning districts. Letter C is that the alleged hardship has not been directly created by any property person presently having proprietary interest in the premises. The alleged hardship is being created by the owner of the property, as it is his preference to construct a garage larger than what is already permitted by code. Letter D is that the proposed variation will not be material detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood. The proposed variation will not be materially detrimental to the public or injurious to the area. However, there are several mature trees that will need to be removed from the property with the construction of either size garage. And based upon what I expressed earlier is that water runoff will have to be addressed with the submission of a grading plan because of the concern that was expressed by the neighbor. Letter E is that the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property. It'll substantially increase congestion in the public streets or increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety. The proposal should not impair light or air to the adjacent properties or increase congestion on streets or endanger the public safety. But the proposed garage would meet all applicable regulations, which would be side and rear setbacks, distance to the principal structure, existing deck, lot coverage, and maximum impervious surface. What I would like to point out is when it comes to maximum impervious surface coverage, the city's zoning ordinance defines that in such a way that the driveway itself as shown, which is 10 foot wide by 80 foot long, and 2 feet from just outside the front door or the door of the garage, they're not included in that calculation. So there's just a very small portion of the driveway between that 2 foot area and the actual 80 foot long driveway that is included in the calculation. That is how our code defines that. So when you look at the property, it may look like it's very covered from the standpoint of for water runoff, but according to the code, a significant portion of that is allowable. Letter F is that the proposed variation will not alter the essential character of the locality. The essential character of the locality should not be altered as other properties in the neighborhood as well as throughout Lockport have detached garages. The proposed detached garage would not be incompatible with the neighborhood, but for its increased size, which per code already permits a larger garage in a multifamily use situation. And then lastly, that the proposed variation is in harmony with the spirit and intent of the chapter of the zoning ordinance. Staff finds that the variation is not in harmony with the spirit and intent of the zoning ordinance, as no justifiable hardship has been identified for the larger garage, and the property is already allowed a larger garage due to its use as a two-family dwelling unit. And once again, the same regulations apply to all residential zoning districts. So with that being said, staff finds that the applicant has not demonstrated a unique and justifiable hardship and therefore recommends denial of the variance to increase the allowable size of a detached garage from 880 square feet to 990 square feet for the property located at 509 South Street. I'd just like to note that if the Plan and Zoning Commission does find in favor of this variation, that I respectfully ask that a condition be placed that the applicant is required to submit a grading permit so that we can make sure water runoff is not an issue.
Thank you. Is Mr. Grady present? Do you have anything to address on this matter?
Yeah, a couple, one comment, not that I'm going to disagree with their findings. There are trees that need to be removed in order to build a garage, two of which are dead, and none of them are mature, anything more than 6 inches diameter. And the really only reason that I filed for the variance was just to have a garage on a 2-unit apartment building that the tenants were able to put full-size vehicles in. I'm only asking to increase the depth of the garage from 20 feet to 22 feet because a lot of people are driving 4-door pickup trucks with beds and Suburbans and things like that. And I just want the people that are living there to have adequate room to pull their vehicles in without banging doors, not to be able to close the garage door. A typical Suburban or 4-door pickup truck that you see quite often, they're approximately 19 feet long, a 22-foot deep garage. By the time you take the walls, the garage door, the hardware shrinks down to about 20 feet, so it doesn't leave much room. And that's really it. I'm just asking for a 12% larger garage than normal. I understand the concerns about the drainage, and I would address the drainage with a grade plan. And basically, that's it. I'm just asking for enough room so people can put full-size vehicles in without having to bang doors and have adequate room.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And the tree issue, like I said, the trees are approximately 6 inches. A few of them are dead. I could provide other information on that.
I don't believe the trees are really a major concern. The trees that have to go no matter what you build there, right?
And the actual, the size of the garage, as far as the height and width, other than the 2 feet, it would be the same size garage. I'm just asking for a little more room so people don't have to beat up their vehicles to fit them in the garage.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here from the public that wishes to comment on this particular case? Yes, sir. Step up, state your name.
Ronald Rush. To me, it's a residential area, and he's putting a commercial building up. He's got 2 large diesel trucks with large trailers that are in and out all night, or all hours. If he puts a doubles the size of his garage, I'm sure there'll be more traffic in and out. And that's right next to my house. I'm on Lawrence, right. He pulls up in front of my house to back in, and it does it at all times of the day and night. So I'm opposed to it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
That's it.
Is there anyone else here from the public that wishes to speak on this matter? Seeing and hearing none. Mr. Likens, any comments or concerns?
I don't disagree that it's difficult to fit large pickup trucks, but we have an obligation to follow the zoning requirements, and I agree with staff's recommendation to deny the variance. And my only other comment would be to please check your required footing depth for a new garage with code requirements, okay? I think it looked like it was 12 by 12, may need to be frost depth, so.
Detached garage needs to be processed?
I would just check the code on that.
I submitted drawings too.
Okay. No further comments.
Mr. Portillo?
The requirements for the garage for 880 square feet were passed in 1990. I looked up the average size of a full-size pickup in 1990 versus the ones these days. There's a difference of around 4 inches in the width and the length. So he was quoting the length of a truck. I got 19 foot 1 inch for the average length. So if you stack two of those next to each other, you got to have an aisle to walk around the front of the first car to get to the service store. So with 40 feet, which is what you would need for the 880, it ain't going to happen. You're not going to have any room to get around the front of the truck. And as far as the width goes, from outside of mirror to outside of mirror, I'm getting 8 foot 9 inch for a full-size pickup. Something like a Tundra or something like that. So if you put two of those next to each other, you got to have a few feet for opening the doors and getting around the truck without even any room for storage, for garbage cans and stuff like that. So as far as the width goes, 22 is about right for that. So what I'm kind of saying is maybe we should take another look at the 880 and update it, because it's been 26 years since we've had that size, and vehicles have gotten bigger, and if there's 4 full-size trucks in there, it ain't going to work with 880. So it's going to be extremely tight, and just give them a little bit more room, so.
Well, what you're saying is the city needs to review the ordinance.
Yes, yes, so that's my stance on it, is we should relook at the ordinance for increasing the size a little bit, and it appears that there's a number of neighbors that have already skirted the variance and put in bigger ones. But anyways, that's regardless of that fact, I think the 880 is a little bit on the low side if you have 4 full-size pickups, which doesn't happen very often, but you got to look at worst case. And if it's an attached garage with a service door, you're going to need more room to get around the front of the vehicles. So that's my take on it.
Thank you. Mrs. Wold?
I have no questions at this time.
Mr. Oxley?
First off, that ordinance was changed because there was a person buying duplexes and 3 units in town and putting 2-car garages up per unit, a 2-car stall per unit. And some people didn't like that. That's why it was changed to that size. I, at the time, and I still do, think it's too small. He's only asking for 110 square feet more. And the gentleman that spoke against it, is this at his existing residence or the house next door that you were talking about with the trucks?
What?
You mentioned that he comes in and out with trucks all day long and
Yeah, he's
stuff.
got 2 big diesel trucks.
Is this at 509 South Street,
Yes, 509,
or is it on Madison Street?
both.
So he's putting,
He's in and out of both.
I don't know, I'm
He
just
uses
looking
the
at
one
this.
for storage, I assume. And he drops a trailer off in that driveway.
Well, that's an issue for code enforcement, not the zoning board of
And
appeals.
it's not 100, according to my plat, the garage he's got is 440 square feet. And he's going to
There's no
more
garage
than
there.
double that.
He's got a 2-family.
There's no garage
They
there.
misprinted the 880, or the garage is not according to the plat.
Is there, excuse me, Pam, is there a garage in this parcel now?
Yes,
That will be torn down?
yes.
Yes, okay.
It's shown on the plat of survey included in your packet.
Right, it says frame garage and then one
According to
says
the
slab
plat,
only.
it's 440
existing.
square feet.
That's existing.
Okay, because on mine it says it says remove existing garage foundation.
Right. They misprinted the square footage on that letter.
So where are these big trucks at you're referring to is what my question is? On Madison Street or on
He
South
park-
Street?
He parks them on Madison.
Okay,
He also parks them on South Street. He uses both driveways. He drops his trailers off on South Street. Most of the time, he puts the trucks in the garage on Madison. but he drops the trailers on South Street.
Okay.
And to drop the trailers, he's got the diesel trucks going back and forth.
Okay, thank you. But that's how that ordinance got changed, because it used to read up to a two-car garage per unit. So if you had a duplex, you could have four-car garages. Some people didn't like that because of the 6 cars. That's how most of these garages were built then and afterwards. And it's another one of those codes that needs to be updated, but that's just not happening, so. It's 110 square feet, it's 11 by 10 more. Or 4 feet wider. So from here to the wall.
It's not 110 square feet, it's over 400 square feet larger. According to the plat, the existing garage is 20 by 22,
And that will be removed.
220 square feet.
And this is a two-family property, though?
This is a 2-unit,
It's a two-family property, though, so you get
four garage.
a four-car garage.
That's, I have nothing else.
Mr. Bellotta?
I had an opportunity to run by the property and see the hardship and what the impacts would be on the surrounding communities. I looked at it almost, it's a lot of single family right there. I have to concur with staff's recommendation. I think 880 square feet is ample. I think it'll, it's basically gonna double the size of the garage there now. Until the code gets changed, it's something to look at. I guess we can do that in the future, but right now, sure.
According to the plat, the existing garage is 20 by 22, which is 420 square feet.
Right, this is,
440, I'm
he's
sorry.
asking for over double.
And on the letter, it says it's 880, which it's not.
That's what he's asking.
Unless he's got a garage behind there that's not on his flat.
He's asking for over 80. He's asking for 90.
deny the variance.
Right.
Not 880, that's allowed.
But the existing is only 440, not 800.
We all have these same diagrams.
So, yeah, we got the same. Thank you.
Personally, I concur with staff's recommendation that the applicant has not demonstrated a justifiable hardship. It's been mentioned here that the ordinance is somewhat out of date and needs to be revised to allow this. I don't particularly disagree with that, but that's up to the city council. Our responsibility is to review and make final determination of variance requests as the ordinance as it stands right now. And as it stands right now, I concur that the applicant has not demonstrated a justifiable hardship. What's our pleasure? Can I have a motion on this matter?
Make a motion to accept staff's recommendation.
I have a motion for Mr. Lakens to concur with staff's recommendations.
I'll second that.
I have a second from Mr. Bellotta. Any discussion on the question? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Bellotta?
To concur with staff's recommendation, yes.
Commissioner Exley?
No. I think the ordinance needs to be changed.
Commissioner Wold?
Yes.
Commissioner Maloney?
Yes.
Commissioner Porfilio?
No, I think the ordinance should be updated.
Commissioner Lakens?
Yes.
Motion carries 4 in favor, 2 opposed. The request for variance has been denied. Okay, the next matter is Ishana Temple, and that matter is being continued to December 13th.
Yes.
And with Third thing on the item, Savera Brands for 1069 East 9th Street. Request there is to continue that item until December 13th. So then we'll move down to Lockport Township Park District. We'll have an open hearing for that matter.
The TV monitors, for some reason, they're not working this evening. They ceased to stop working at the last council meeting. Kathy, any? No, I can't get them up tonight. All right. This evening, the applicant, Sue Mickelbeck, with the Lockport Township Park District, is seeking approval of a special use permit for a government office unique use and final development plans for a 20,066 square foot community center, which will include administrative offices, a multi-activity court or gymnasium, a multi-purpose room, and a preschool classrooms for the property generally located at the southwest corner of 18th Street and Lawrence Avenue. The subject property is zoned R2, single-family residential, and per the city zoning ordinance, a community center is not specifically listed as a permitted or a special use. Therefore, since the proposed community center also includes a multi-activity court and gymnasium, the multi-purpose room, and the preschool classrooms, staff determined that in combination with the administrative offices, it should be considered as an administrative office and a unique use. The proposed use as a community center is similar and compatible with other types of public administration and recreational type uses. When reviewing a special use, there are several standards that need to be evaluated in order to consider. The first is that the proposed building or use at the particular location requested is necessary or desirable to provide a service or facility which is in the interest of the public and will contribute to the general welfare of the neighborhood or community. The community center will be incorporated into the overall Delwood Park property. In addition to the actual park itself, the property includes various outdoor recreational activities, administrative offices, and challenge fitness. The new community center will provide additional amenities and activities to residents and visitors to the property. The second standard is that the proposed building or use will not have a substantial adverse effect upon the adjacent property, the character of the neighborhood, traffic conditions, utility facilities, and other matters affecting the public health, safety, and general welfare. The community center will not adversely affect the adjacent property nor the character of the neighborhood. There should be no impacts to current traffic condition or patterns on 18th Street or Lawrence Avenue, and public utilities are easily accessible and will be extended to the new building. The proposed driveway will align with Wayland Street. Letter C is that the proposed building or use will be designed, arranged, and operated so as to permit the development and use of the neighboring property in accordance with the applicable district regulations. The community center will be incorporated into the Delwood Park property, as there, again, are already existing recreational buildings and activities. The added amenity of a community center will not interfere with the development and use of the neighboring property. In addition, because it's a unique use, there are two additional criteria which must be considered. The applicant must have proof of a special or extraordinary need for the unique use, which shall include proof of unique characteristics of the subject property, proposed use, and/or the neighborhood surrounding the subject property. And two, proof that the unique use will be of some affirmative benefit from a land use and economic standpoint to the surrounding properties and neighborhood. Included in your packet, the applicant has responded to both the standard special use criteria as well as the unique criteria. And with that, staff has reviewed their responses, and we do find justification for establishment of this unique use at this location. To discuss the site plan, the 20,066 square foot building and parking lot are generally located at the corner. There are two future building expansions also illustrated on the plan. However, the administrative wing, which is about 4,700 square feet, located south of the main entrance, and the other expansion identified at the northwest corner, which would be another gymnasium of about 9,000 square feet. These are future plans and desires, and as such, they're not being considered this evening, but just being shown in reference, just being shown for reference. The building as proposed does comply with all required setbacks. Parking and loading is shown to the east, or parking to the east of the building. There's 78 spaces proposed, accessible spaces, and across, with access from Lawrence Avenue. It's also connected to essentially an existing parking lot, 4 spaces to the south. Per our zoning ordinance, the parking requirement would be 1 space for each employee plus 1 space for each 300 square feet of area. 67 spaces are required for the building, and per the applicant, there'll be 4 full-time and approximately 7 part-time employees, meaning that the 78 space lot that's being proposed is meeting the parking requirement, and in essence, they have excess parking because of the adjacent lot. There are concrete wheel stops provided to prevent wheels or vehicles from overhanging onto the sidewalks located at the front of the building as well as along the south property line. Drive aisle and parking space dimensions are met. Per the city's development code, there is 1 deviation from the code that the applicant is asking consideration of. Typically, parking lots are to be constructed with curb and gutter. The proposed plan illustrates only curb. Based on our review, gutter is not necessary since the parking lot is designed to sheet drain to storm sewers. We do support this variation or deviation because if curb and gutter is installed, the gutter will not carry any water. In addition, this will also match the existing parking lot to the south. Something that staff would also like to note is as we were going through this review process, it was discovered that the Lawrence Avenue right-of-way has never been dedicated. The applicant's project engineer has been working with our Director of Engineering, Amy Wagner, for direction and was advised that a 40-foot right-of-way is required based on the designation of Lawrence Avenue as a collector. Per Amy, Lawrence Avenue is a federal aid route and is designed as a collector by IDOT and CMAP. Pavement width for an 80-foot right-of-way is 37 feet. Staff would like to note for the record that per the development code, the right-of-way width for a local residential street is 60 foot, which means the pavement width would be 31. The applicant is working with our engineer on this dedication and more importantly on the impact on the proposed development, in particular the parking lot. So the dedication will come back before you at a later date, at which time better understanding of how the parking lot is affected, and then we will take that through the appropriate procedure to make sure if setbacks are interrupted that's reviewed properly. Sidewalks and paths. There's already a path system that exists throughout Delwood Park. Connections are proposed to the system. There's an internal sidewalk on the south property line, and it connects to a new section of public sidewalk that connects to the existing public sidewalk on Lawrence Avenue, which will align to the sidewalk on Wayland Street. Staff has asked cross-hatching be provided in the parking lot so that we can alert drivers of the pedestrian crossing. Street access to the center will be via a single-access drive on Lawrence Avenue, and the location of this driveway has been designed to align with Wayland Street, any offsets that would create safety issues. Per the applicant, a trash enclosure is not going to be constructed with this project. They routinely pick up garbage handled at their administrative offices in Challenge Fitness, which is they pick up garbage daily, which is taken to their district maintenance shop. However, we have advised the applicant that if an enclosure is required at some point in the future, that it has to adhere to our enclosure requirements and screening. The final building elevations, the proposed will be constructed primarily of masonry, combination of brick and split face block, accented with metal wall panels, which will match the Challenge Fitness building. The height of the building ranges from
have to go to other communities to participate in any type of indoor recreation, basketball, volleyball, different programs like that. Another concern we have is the safety of our preschoolers. Right now, our preschool programs are in different locations throughout the township, and they don't have the security that we feel children deserve. This facility addresses that concern where we can lock down the facility and provide the children with the safety that they certainly deserve. And we all know how important that is in this day and age. I believe you have in your packets both an existing conditions. I don't know if you need me to take you through anything. It shows Lawrence Avenue to the right side of the page, and across the top is 18th Street. It shows where our current administration building is located, and the pathways and things of that nature. We also have another sheet that is the proposed data. Basically, we're looking at 78 standard and 4 ADA parking spaces. In 2014, as Pam mentioned, we did expand the parking over there to accommodate Challenge Fitness, but also knowing that there was perhaps going to be this facility one day. So there's 84 standard and 5 ADA that we included in 2014. The total building size is 20,003 square feet. In comparison, just everybody like to see a picture or have a feel of the size of something. Just to the south of this proposed project is Challenge Fitness. Challenge Fitness is almost 72,000 square feet. By comparison, this facility is much smaller, less than 1/3 the size of Challenge Fitness, so we feel that it fit well into the area. The gymnasium, it's a small one-court gymnasium, 7,912 square feet. Multi-purpose rooms, 2,316 square feet. The reason for that is we've had a lot of questions, requests for various types of activities that we just don't have the room to accommodate. Allow us to be able to provide more activities for all age groups. We have office space over there, which will be 969 square feet. And then the preschool rooms that I spoke of earlier, there's 3 preschool rooms that are 763 square feet each. If you add that up, you'll notice that that doesn't add up to the 20,000 square feet, but that's obviously, there's washrooms, storage, hallways, things of that nature. So that's the proposed.
Is that going to cost money? That's another.
And now